or we're having to pinch pennies because there wasn't enough for food. So really going back and honing in on those first money memories.
Mm-hmm. Everybody, it's your host, Amber here, MLM strategist and entrepreneur who has worked with thousands of network marketers and influencers and entrepreneurs in your space, helping to brand them, systemize them, and grow their downline on a global level. Creative director with AK Social House and your host of the Behind Her Boom podcast, providing you with proven, simple, and actionable steps to build your authority and your brand so you can stand out from those sideline sisters, inspiring you with our special guest to think big and grow to 7 figures and beyond. Let's go. Hey guys, this is your host, Amber from Behind Her Boom podcast. I'm coming in today with a very special guest coming from the financial industry for over 20 plus years. We are making a little bit of a shift here when it comes to the network marketing space, because a lot of you who listen are leaders or just starting in the network marketing space, and money seems to be a hot topic. Most people join the network marketing space because they're looking for a secondary income. And I just thought this was a really great way to have some money conversations with an expert in the industry. Tricia Daniels on here. She is also the host of Money Over Easy podcast. She said she's been sitting in having talks about money with her dad since she was 3. So I don't feel so bad about talking about money with my kids every day. We're 4 and 7. So welcome, Tricia. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
I am super excited to be here because money is a topic that we all don't like to talk about. We like to talk about when we spend it, but not when we have to manage it. So I'm super excited to be here because I definitely love the network marketing space too.
Yes, absolutely. And tell us a little bit about your journey and how you've gotten on here to have a podcast and to share, these different topics and to really hone in on the financial sort of hurdles that people come into. You mentioned that we were just kind of chatting before we took it live here, that you've made some connections in the network marketing space, and you're sort of in the process of sort of building something out on the back, and we might not want to tap into there yet, or you might want to give them a sneak peek, but share a little bit more about that and sort of your journey to what's led you to where you are today.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Because while I'm an MBA, over 25 years experience in public accounting as a corporate financial controller, more importantly, I've also been that single mother who has started over not once, but twice. I have been that woman who has come out of debt from 3 separate life events. And I've also been laid off with no backup plan and no savings. So I understand where a lot of your listeners may be coming from, where it's just that overwhelm and shame around money. But I was grateful because I had a financial planner father. Again, like we said, he was been teaching me about money since the age of 3. Also a grandfather who was a financial advisor, but they started teaching me about money and those steps to be able to rebuild. And I would basically take that combined with my corporate experience. And out of every life event, I've been able to rebuild each and every time. However, the shame. And I know a lot of you have that shame in your story. And I had the shame in my story, my financial story, because I was this financial executive, but yet in my personal journey, I've had to rebuild over and over and over again. So it just held me captive and able to share that journey with anyone until April of 2021 with my mother. She fell, severely bruising her knee. We didn't think anything of it until 3 weeks later. We were by her hospital bedside as she was sedated on oxygen and unable to speak. We were just, floored. We were actually never going to hear her voice again. And then on her last day, a nurse came in and she removed the oxygen from my mom's nose. And slowly her eyes actually began to open and her voice started struggling to speak. And at one point she looked over at me just with great concern. And she asked me, "Promise?" And I was like, "Yes, Mom, I promise." And in that moment, I really didn't understand exactly what she was asking me, but I knew exactly what she meant because my mother also was a woman who allowed shame in her own story, hold her captive, unable to share with anybody. She always said someday she was going to write this book about the incredible joint custody childhood I had growing up. And someday she was going to teach and speak to other women, empowering them how to stand on their own 2 feet. And she always said someday, someday, someday. And then that Friday evening, she had no longer had her someday. Her voice and her words were gone. And that's when I realized I don't have someday either, that my someday is today.
Yeah.
To go out and share my story, my financial journey. Have I been able to rebuild each and every time. So now I have taken myself behind the computer screen, my Excel spreadsheets, where I feel super comfortable, and become uncomfortable in front of a mic and in front of audiences, being able to teach other women that their someday is today too, to be able to manage their money with confidence and with ease.
I love that, Tricia. And thank you so much for sharing. I'm trying so hard to hold back and not get emotional. I'm like, just keep it together for the screen, right? But anybody's story is always, you kind of relate it back to the struggles and the things that that you go through on a personal note. And even on my side, building my business and the things that I've gone through, and I've gone through mostly with my little one, who's now four with a broken arm, that happened on Sunday, but she's had some other medical things that have gone through in the last year. And it allows you to sort of sit back and focus to say, are you going to allow these things to set you back, curl up? Like, there's days I could just curl up on a ball on the couch and just say, nobody come in. I need space. I just want to scream inside of my head. Or is it like the universe or God or whoever it is that you pray to, giving you those sort of hurdles to say, this is it's building you up to be stronger. You can do this, get over this, overcome it. It's gonna get you to the light at the end of the tunnel, I always say. But I feel like every time something happens, whether it's something with your health or with your family or financially, I always think it's done, it's put there in front of you to help you get to that next level. If you look at like where you were maybe 20 years ago versus 10 years ago, and then to today, and where you'll be in 5 years, if you're not constantly growing and getting to those next levels, we just sort of stay flat, there, would you be as, happy and fulfilled as you are today? Probably not, I would say, for most people. And if you even look in the network marketing space, or just women in business, or wanting to launch their courses, or want to be a coach, they want to impact. And if you want to impact, the number one thing that can hold you back is that self-doubt, and allowing these incidents in your moments, in anything is, a bus drives by tomorrow, something happens. Do you allow those to hold you back, set you back of your dreams? Or do you say, what, I'm going to take this time to grieve. I'm going to breathe it out. I'm going to overcome. Right. And that's huge. It's, otherwise I think we'll all be in a little ball.
No, yeah. I mean, because it is huge. I mean, it is one of those things of, can I get out? Do I see the tunnel? Because I always like, you being comfortable on the couch. When we're super comfortable on the couch, we don't want to move. We don't want to move. It's till our kid behind us shoves us or screams, or we hear that we jump
off the damn couch.
Yeah, but that's when that change happens. And so it's getting in that uncomfortable zone. I just recently was remarried after 15 years of divorce. And it was last summer. Thank you. Blended a family of 6 boys. I went from six girls growing up in a blended family to 6 boys in a blended family. I got a little bit more than I prayed for when I asked for boys. But, just 1 month after our blended family wedding, my husband injured his spine, lost his job. And all of a sudden being able to like, wait a second, same thing. You want to crawl up in a ball, but I was so grateful because of podcasts, because of people I've met. In each space, network marketing space, different healing spaces, that I knew, wait a second, this is what I'm learning. This is where we're going. And I was able to reframe it and look at it so differently, and such a stronger place of like, okay, let's do this. And we've been walking through this journey now for over a year, since the injury last July. So it's one of those things. It's like, how do you take from curling up in a ball, just wanting to, and I have an older child with special needs. So I understand when you've got a child that is just, it's hard, it's very, very hard. But now, he's 18 and thriving. And one of those things, are you seeing like, wait a second, look at all we've overcome. Yeah. So now when new things happen to you,
they seem
like, okay, it's just that reframing of like, what, I can do this too. I'm seeing her do it. I'm seeing her do it. There's probably so many listeners to your podcast have listened over and over again, watching her do it, her thrive, and knowing they have the possibility that they can do that too.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that. And that's really what I love having on this show, is to be able to motivate and encourage, and to help others overcome that fear and that self-doubt, and to be able to overcome when tragedies, or any sort of, even just a hurdle in your life comes in, how you can overcome that. And with having you specifically on the show, talking about that financial fact, let's shift a little bit to To network marketers, because that's the majority of my audience at the moment, as we're making the shift and open the doors to wide open entrepreneurs and coaches and all those amazing women in business. But for network marketers in specific, when I had looked at your bio and read over, your financial expertise and what you're tapping into, I look at the majority of the clients that I work with are either top leaders in their industry. They're making the 6 and 7 figures, like they've gotten there. So they're going to need financial help and tax help of how to structure that, because that's no longer a side hustle.
No.
You need to properly structure. If you are
Right.
making 6 figures in your network marketing business, that is not a side hustle.
No.
You have a legitimate business, and it should be
Yes.
structured as a proper business. There's so many different tax write-offs and things you can do, and saving and
Yes.
investing, right? But then there's also a huge majority of my clients who are brand spanking new in the network marketing space. And some of them are, those single moms, or those women who have lost their job, or those women who maybe they suffer from their own sort of, mental anxieties and issues, where they love being behind the camera, they love being home, and they really want to build a business of influence behind the computer, or things like that. And some of them can barely afford even the business in a box, to join a network marketing space. So what kind of advice can we give kind of those new network marketers starting out, some financial advice of how they can make this business work for them versus somebody who's already there? That might be just a whole different topic.
Well, actually, it kind of brings it back for all of them.
Right.
For all of the one thing I really want to focus in, because just because you might be at the top of the game doesn't mean you still don't have insecurities. Because the kind of thing they joke about, more money, more problems, but it's one of those things. All of a sudden, your team has grown.
Yeah.
You're going to need more things. You're going to need more assistance and more systems. And so whenever you grow, you're still going to have issues of sometimes when you're first starting out. If you don't deal with first, what I really take every single person I work with and into what's their money identity.
Right.
Truly going back to your core of who you were born to be with money before life happened. So any of you that have gone through what they call inner child work, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but for mostly inner child, most of our memories and our habits are all cultivated before the age of 7. So
Nice.
for each of your listeners, if you got a pencil, paper, just, pencil, just basically start thinking about what's your first money memory. Because for a lot of us, we watched our parents fight about money. We watched a single parent stress about money. We were or it was freedom with money. It was always flowing. We never had any guidance that there wasn't enough, or we're having to pinch pennies because there wasn't enough for food. So really going back and honing in on those first money memories, and being able to kind of walk through those healing of why you either don't manage your new business right, or you manage it a little too tightly. So walking back through those pieces, but going back to like, truly, who were you born to be with money? Like, why are you excited? Like, actually, I live in fear of it, but I was born to multiply it. I was born to grow this team. I am good at multiplying teams. I'm good at multiplying money. So I love to walk people first through that kind of money identity work, really going in deep on your feelings around money and who you were born to be before life happened to kind of covered it up. I like to uncover it a little bit. So that way, again, it gets really to the core of, again, I'm not operating out. Like I actually had to walk back through it of after divorce. Maybe you've had a life change after divorce or loss of a job. Both of those things, both those life changes for me, I had to go back and stop living into shifting money back and forth from account to account. Does this go my business, personal? Because I lost my home when I was 4 months pregnant because of lack of communication between my spouse and I. So that put me on a cycle. So for some women that may be starting a new business because of some big thing that happened in their life, why maybe do you shift money in a different way? Why are you afraid to touch it? Why are you afraid of it? So just going back to those feelings, I think for any business owner, whether you're just starting out or you've got this huge team, I think is really, really key. So when you're making financial decisions, be able to sit back and go, why am I making this decision? Am I making it out of who I truly want to be, or because this thing happened to me? So that's always like that first step I really want to walk people through before we get into the kind of accounting ease, financial ease pieces.
Yes, I love this, Tricia, because you're right. At first I was like, well, where's she going with this? How am I going to relate to like when I was 4, 5, 6 to today when we're, thinking about money? But then I kind of sit back and think, well, my mom was just stay-at-home mom. And I actually kind of grew up thinking, I want to be just like my mom. I want to be stay-at-home mom too. And I want to,
Mm-hmm.
and I just want to have kids and I want to just be home. And then I realized that wasn't actually what I wanted at all. I went through IVF and, thought I wasn't even going to have kids and took 5 years. So of course I was in that financial or that baby, bubble at the time when I had my first son. But then I quickly realized I need more. Just being a mom and being home was not enough for me. I know it is for a lot of women. But where does that money drive from? Does it come from, me as a child of where did my parents lead to? Because do I think of like, did I struggle? We certainly didn't drive fancy cars. It was a Plymouth Sundance. I remember that was the first new car we had. It was red and the windows only went down halfway for the air. And so there was no, I think my parents had less money when my sister was born because she's 5 years older. So they lived in a mobile home when we were born. By the time I was born, I always said, oh, we were making it by then because we had a house and it wasn't a mobile home, but it wasn't very big, but I like this of going back and really honing in on, what you had back when you were a child versus where you've led to now. Like, where does this all derive from? And what is that sort of mindset that you're telling yourself? And now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how old are my kids now? Because what are they going to think? Thinking like, here's, mommy going around, building a business, and then here's another business and growing. Are we fighting about money? Are we showing them? I always tell my kids, the more money you make, the more people that you help. Like that's sort of, the motto. So if you want to help more people, you make more money, you help more people. So they're kind of relating that. And then I also quickly realized while building a business, I've had these financial goals each month and each quarter with the business that I wanted to reach, but I've surpassed those each time. I've actually almost 10x like a goal from this year. And but then I quickly realized I'm not money driven. Some people would roll their eyes at that and be like, no shit, you aren't. Everybody's money driven. But I realized like we're not, or us as a family are actually not money driven. I hit those goals and it's not flicking a switch to say, oh yeah, let's go shopping. I want to go party. It's more of like, did I impact? What did I do? Did I change somebody's life? And now my husband's originally from Syria. So we've actually decided to open up this corporation where we can fund money through and build an orphanage for women and children to help with trafficking and for the war and things like that. So now I just think of anybody that we service or that we provide service to, we'll be able to pool a percentage of that into this foundation. But I also I don't get that fulfillment of just giving money away to a foundation or saying, here's some of my proceeds. I need to see something tangible. It's probably why I like real estate. I like to invest in something where I can like see it, pick it up, and he had actually went out to an orphanage in Mexico. They were building out this women and children's orphanage, and it was just for called Make Money Matter. So it was like a foundation to show investors and business owners how to make your money really matter and make an impact. And it just opened a whole new world for us of like, why aren't we doing that in Syria to build up something? Then I can have my kids be part of that and say, this is your guys', you guys own this. And now when you raise money and you do things, we're pooling this and look at the impact that we're making. So it's something to allow for the kids to be able to grow and be part of, because I think a lot of business owners too, they get into this money mindset of you hit 6 figures, you hit 7 figures, you go beyond, but then your kids are also being raised. Like, are they being raised to respect money? Are they being raised to, I just get anything and everything that I want? We live in Orange County and it's not hard at all to just spoil your kids rotten. And then they see it all at school and, kids are driving up in, fancy cars. It's just kind of the way that we live in this space, but do they respect money or do they not? And it comes from a really, really young age of, I don't care how much money you make, or if you got cleaners and cooks and whatever, it's like, get your kids to do things. Otherwise, they're going to grow up to not have that respect for money and just think it just, grows on trees. Like, our parents used to say, money ain't growing on trees, go do some work, go sell some things to make stuff. I was putting stickers on, items and trying to sell them outside of the house, right? To try to make a couple of bucks, to get a new Barbie, things like that. So,
well, because you think about it, it is a generational, because if you look at history, by usually the third generation any wealth that has been built up is completely gone because
Right.
they weren't taught how to manage it. They weren't taught how to work for it. They didn't understand their first money memories is, wait, everything was just there.
Yeah.
Everything came easy. What do you mean I have to work for it or hustle for it? Or what do you mean I have to manage it? So sometimes, no, we're not teaching our kids how to manage it and being able to invest, or, teaching them about investing and growing. And sometimes we don't include our kids in these money conversations. So then all of a sudden they're 18 or in college and they have no idea because they've never sat down with his parents. With his parents, we just buy it for them and went on our way.
Yeah.
They didn't really understand the concept. I have my youngest one's always like, well, do we have enough money? And so I always had to walk him through like, no, this is our grocery account. Instead of envelopes, I use different accounts. Like, this is our grocery account. This is how much we use for groceries. So being able to walk him through understanding, and he has his own checking account, investment account, things like that. So I can walk him through education, because it's what we're teaching our kids. And like right now, being able to show them, like, you're starting to think about, I'm not motivated by the money, because everybody keeps, especially like Orange County. I know several people that live there. It is, hit 6 figures, hit 7 figures, 8 figures. Okay, well then what? What does that mean? So that's where I kind of walk people through when I walk them through that money identity. The next piece is, how much is enough?
Yeah.
How much is enough? If you draw a circle and you basically divide it into 4 parts, and you have one second is how much you want to live on, how much that you owe, mortgage, cars, debt, how much do you want to grow, like invest, and then how much do you want to give? Well, if you look at your circle, it's never going to be 4 equal parts.
Right.
There's going to be shifting in it. Sometimes we get that bigger house. Well, obviously our live part of it's going to, grow a little even bigger, because now we have more things to maintain, or maybe we owe. But like for yours, you're going that giving piece. I'm wanting to shift my money around more because I want to be able to more give and put into these, into Syria and these organizations. We really want to be able to grow. And that's why I love a lot of women in network marketing are really starting these nonprofits or ministries to be able to give back. And I know network marketing, a lot of them have their own giving back programs. Right. But think about it for yours. I mean, and for, any of your listeners, if that is on their heart to be able to do, draw their circle, look at it. What part of, is going to go to your living, to your owing, to your growing, to your giving. And then when you hit your next goal that you set for your next sales goal, how is it going to shift? Right. And really looking at it in more of a simple form than, oh my gosh, I've got to go get my spreadsheet out, get my QuickBooks out and budget it. Just sit down and draw a circle of what's really, and then include your kids. Your kids can draw too. My dad taught me by drawing a triangle. He did the Maslow's hierarchy of need.
Yeah.
So at 3 years old, be sitting at the breakfast table, he gets out a napkin, asks the waitress for a pen, and he'd draw a triangle. And he always teach us, these are your needs. These are your wants. And whenever we would come to him with a toy or something we wanted, he'd be like, okay, draw out your triangle. And so as a sales pitch, we kind of, we learned how to sell at an early age. And it was basically looking through like a triangle, a shape. A shape is something as a kid, I understand.
Yeah.
A shape, a circle is something as a kid, I understand. But as an adult too, having that visual of, wow, look, our living expenses are taking over our entire circle. What can we do? How can we shift? What sales goal do I need to hit to be able to pay off this, change that, so I can, give or grow, learn how to invest more.
Yeah, I love that, Tricia. I mean, I'm on a podcast, but at the same time, I feel like I'm getting my own financial advice. I'm like, hold on, I want to draw out my circle.
Well, it makes it when you take it. Yeah. But like, I said that Money Over Easy show, I'm basically starting to take like, okay, these are these simple concepts. I was just blessed. My dad put really hard financial concepts into easier terms, into everyday terms. And his biggest motivation was actually because my parents got divorced when I was 3. And my dad looked over to, me at 3, and my sister was a newborn. And like, if something happened to my girls, I want them to be able to stay on their own 2 feet. Because as a financial planner, again, a lot of women, yes, they want to be stay-at-home moms. They want to be, but then life happens. And he had so many women walk into his financial planning office in tears because all of a sudden their husband suddenly passed. They had never balanced a checkbook. They had never planned out expenses. They didn't know if they were in debt or had policies or what they even had.
Right.
because they just, you know, loved, living at home or loved being a mom or loved,
Yeah.
they never had those conversations, or they never in a relationship where they had the conversations. So
Yeah.
that's why I do think it's important to start learning how to have conversations first with yourself, being
Yeah.
able to draw your circle out, but then with your kids and your spouse. And it's hard because
Yeah.
nowadays, we're not taught to talk about it, but that was my biggest motivation, is knowing that people have walked in, life suddenly has changed and they didn't know what to do.
Right. Yeah. And I also think it's big to not be afraid to have this conversation and not be afraid to have it with your spouse. I know a lot of people try to like hide the money conversation, but you can't hide it from your spouse. Like, you guys are both bringing in, money maybe from two different places. But I think the very first step is to sit back and say, hey, listen, we're going to have this conversation. We're not going to argue over it. There's no, your side or my side or rights or wrongs. It is what it is. These are the numbers, and let's have that. I feel like that just it'll make the life and the household a whole lot less stressful and
Yeah.
easier that way. And then once you do that together as a household, then you kind of come down to that next level to the kids. And I like that idea. We're just getting a bank account set up for our 7-year-old. He's been talking about it for some time because he's going around with a wallet with cash in it. I'm like, you can't have a wallet with cash in it. He's counting it up and babysitters are here. I'm like, you can't just have cash around. People don't do that anymore. So we'll get him a bank account set up, but he does know the concept of money. And I think a lot of people underestimate the kind of the smartness of a child, whether they're 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, they can comprehend money, especially when they know that they go to Target, it costs money, and they're wondering, how the heck do I get this money? So I think it's important to start that at a really young age. I feel like I could just go on and talk about money for days with you, Tricia. I need another
Yeah.
call.
No, it's okay. But yeah, just one thing too, when the women on their podcast, if you're scared to start talking about your spouse with money, just say, I'm interested in. Just say, hey, I'm interested in knowing. That's a good, easy way. But then also notice your kids are watching. Your kids are watching you and your spouse talk about money. So someday when they get older, their first money memories are about talking with their future spouse about money. So yeah, I know we could talk about it all day long, but I just wanted it's just those easy conversations to be able to start. Because teaching our kids and that next generation, I mean, that's the reason we become families, is be able to pass it down.
Exactly. And I noticed also, Tricia, that you tie in breath work to money. Can you just hone in on a little bit of that before we let everybody go and not take you on here all day?
Absolutely. Because, think about it. When you talk about money, how many of us just hold our breath?
Yeah. Or get like really tight.
Yes, we get stressed. And so I love walking women through breath work, because it really does take you back into understanding, those first memories and being able to relax. It kind of helps you tap into the subconscious of being able to understand your memories, but also have an action plan when it's done. So it's about 22-minute breath work session. It's called hypno breath work. And just being able to give those action steps to be able to, actually I did one this morning on being able to surrender, just being able to surrender and just be okay, this is what I've got planned. This is what we're going to do for the day. Just surrendering my fear and need for control and just allowing what's going to happen, the money to flow in. And so I love walking through just a 22-minute breathwork session to even start out what's their action plan for the week. So every week, always have a board meeting with yourself, your spouse, your family. But I make that a part of a board meeting, because going through 22-minute breathwork session, I'm actually making it a part of a course at the end of each section, being able to put a breathwork piece in there, because I think it's super important to learn how to relax and feel in control of your own feelings, your own body, but through the power of breath, because that's what gives us life.
Yeah, I love that, because I think even a lot of the best mentors out there, they'll give you kind of your list of like your 5 daily do's and non-negotiables. Breath work or meditation, mindset, it's always one of those 5. It's a non-negotiable to the best leaders, influencers out there who want to coach you, mentor you. It's there's something to be said about it and not to be taken lightly. And I think that is a big part of helping entrepreneurs get to that next level, is to be able to, to breathe it out a lot of, because takes away from that self-doubt creeping in, the fear, the anxiety, the tightness that holds us back. When I have a podcast, it's making me feel, I don't think I can.
Yeah, it just makes you like, yeah. So that's why, I wouldn't I got certified in hypno breath work just because I was so passionate. I could see the difference in my own life, in my friends, in my family, and my clients. And so, so I went and got certified in it just to be able to add it as an additional piece to my courses. Cause I think it's super important because we all, and just be able to breathe and be like, man, this is easy.
Yeah.
And then be able to grow their teams. Yeah. It ties to everything. But like you said, a lot of big names out there will talk about the power of it. And it is a part of their daily routine. But as you're growing your network marketing teams, I think it's super important to be able to, the first one you get a call, hey, let's just all take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Wow, we did it. We hit our goals. We're going to do this. Just walking them through and help them all just relax and be able to listen and tune in.
Yeah, I love that. This has been fantastic, Tricia. Thank you so much for coming on here today. I think a lot of our listeners got so much value. I hope everybody is drawing a circle with their 4 boxes. Well, I was saying boxes, but there are 4 pieces of the pie in that circle when it comes to your finances. And where can people reach out and connect with you?
I'd love for you to reach out to me at my website. It's www.triciadaniel.com. That's TRICIADANIEL.com, or come over and visit me on Instagram at Tricia Daniel MBA, Starting Over Wealth, and the Money Over Easy Show. Because I would love for you to go to the podcast, subscribe, and join me weekly as we walk through these easy money conversations.
This is fantastic. And I'll put all of her contacts in our message on here. And also when we send out some micro content and start just chatting a little bit and giving people little hints and glimpses of the gold nuggets that we dropped here today. So thank you so much. And thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Amber of Behind Her Boom podcast. Until next time, cut.